on his way. Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Mountain Murders is an Appalachian true crime podcast. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
We say fuck a lot. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
He was just explaining to me that he was, in fact, not a teenage dirtbag, so he would not be participating in the TikTok trend.
Well, no, I just don't have the pictures to prove it.
That you were a dirtbag?
Well, no, I wasn't a dirtbag. I was a good guy, but, I had fun.
You did dirtbag things, Dylan. Then you were trying to explain to me that you were not a dirtbag last night when you were frequenting some pretzels.
Well, yeah, you said I was frequenting prostitutes. Let's just be honest. Let's tell them what we were really talking about. You said I was frequenting prostitutes when I was a young man, and that's just the incorrect information.
Look, if you frequent a prostitute more than one time, that's frequenting, right? Because you go once, and if you go more than once, then that's
frequently.
It's not like a solo initial time, right?
I've been to a sex worker before in my life. I mean, I'm not ashamed of that.
Before, you see, you're making it sound like it was singular, like it was a one-time deal.
Well, it was a one-time period in my life.
Right. So I'm saying that you were frequenting sex workers.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, I was frequenting a bag of pretzels last night.
Well,
then you explained to me that you counted out 18 pretzels, and that's all you had.
Per your instructions. I took 18, and multiple times I ate 6 at a time. So like 3 times throughout the night, I ate 6 pretzels. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
That's 18, right?
Yeah.
I'm not very good with math.
Oh my God. Jesus.
We tell our listeners a lot of private shit on Mountain Murders, so now it's not so private.
Well, I feel like they're our friends. I really do. They're more than listeners to me. It's a family. And Lord knows if you do visit us at patreon.com/Mountain Murders Podcast and join the Discord, you will get way more personal information. So
from Dylan.
From you, yeah, from Dylan. And from some of our Discord fam, let's be honest.
My secrets close.
Speaking of Patreon, I want to thank today's sponsor of the show.
Do it!
Surly Sriracha.
Yeah.
I love the name.
Very spicy.
It's very spicy. Surly Sriracha is today's sponsor of this episode.
Thank you, Surly Sriracha.
Sriracha. Yeah, I rolled the R.
I know I've lately been eating a lot of Texas Pete.
Okay,
just randomly.
That's a random fact.
It is random.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we stopped in Tennessee and got this delicious chicken.
What was that, like chicken on the go or some shit?
I don't know.
It was like truck stop chicken.
But it was good as hell.
Oh my
and then
gosh.
I had some hot sauce and was like eating it with my chicken. And then that's sort of, transpired. Now I'm like eating the hot sauce on my eggs and my vegetarian chicken nuggets and yeah.
Hey, Texas Pete, it's not my favorite, but it goes good on eggs and stuff.
It does. And it's not too spicy. It just gives you a little something.
Just a little something.
And sometimes I just need a little something, Dylan.
On the tip of your tongue.
Just a little something.
Oh, I feel great today.
You do?
Yeah, I do. And I know you have a wonderful story, but let's talk about something that we watched right quick.
Oh, man, we got to talk about this, Dylan. I mean, we could dedicate an entire episode to this documentary. If you have not familiarized yourself with the Armie Hammer docuseries, House of Hammer, you have got to check it out. It is one of the latest true crime installations from Discovery Plus. It is a 3-part series that spotlights the victims who came forward to tell their stories, along with Armie Hammer's estranged aunt. I will be able to speak proper English today at some point. Her name is Casey, and she exposes generations of abusers within this prominent Hammer family. Oh my gosh, talk about dysfunction. Now, her great-grandfather was Armand Hammer, Dr. Armand Hammer, who came to wealth and power, let's be honest, with Occidental Petroleum.
That truly does sound like a Batman, the villainous corporation in a Batman movie. Does it not?
Yes.
I mean, that's not my line. Somebody else said that,
He
but
was
I agree.
Russian, had like his father was one of the founding members of the Communist Party in Russia. They had ties to the KGB. And Dr. Armand Hammer, he was brutal. If you've ever seen the HBO show Succession, which we love that show, Casey Hammer said after about the 3rd episode, she turned it off. It was too relatable, but she said her family was like the family in Succession times about 1,000.
He was just a brutal man, and expected everyone around him to submit. You know, he kept files.
Blackmailed people, politicians, his fucking family.
He would keep files even on like who his kids or grandkids dated. I mean,
Their friends.
He's one of those guys. He would openly bribe people and then record them doing it and then use that to turn right around and blackmail them in the business world and political world. I mean, this man had access that just did not make sense. What was that one line? One of the little kids asked him if he would wanted to be president, and he laughed and said there's not enough power in that position.
Yes.
Yeah, so
he was real chummy chum with Prince Charles, now King Charles.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Those ears are in control of the UK now. Well, not really, because it's just more of a facade, right?
It's just for show.
It's for show, but people seem to enjoy it.
They do. I mean, there are a lot of folks out there mourning the death of Queen Elizabeth, and of course, it is a sad passing anytime, someone passes away.
It was such a surprise. I mean, she was only 96 years old.
I know the way people were acting like it was a shock. I mean, the woman was 96. Okay?
But
I don't understand the fascination with the monarchy. I'm not going to, rail against people who like that sort of thing. I'm like, cool, you can be into what you want to be into, but I've just never seen the appeal.
Well, it's no different for me than like celebrity entertainment, stuff back here at home.
It's true.
I don't understand why you care who's dating who, or
like celebrities.
They're having a baby, like that's some big achievement. Wow, you made another human. Cool. Like a lot of people are doing that every day. But again, some people find a lot of entertainment out of that, and that's fine. I'm not gonna shit on that. But I don't. It's not my cup of tea. Oh, you see how I brought it full circle? I had my pinky up on that.
I'm just like waiting for you to make a scone joke or like a crumpet joke.
Well, I'm not going to make jokes about the UK during this time, dark times, because I support my UK brothers and sisters, and if they want to mourn the loss of a 96-year-old woman and be surprised that she passed, then that is their prerogative, and I support them in that endeavor. Okay? And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. I'm just going to leave it at, honestly, Diana was the only one that appeared to have any grace and compassion.
That's why she was murdered.
Probably.
Oh, sorry.
So, House of Hammer. Fucking crazy revelations about this abusive,
powerful,
multi-generational abuse in this family. And then you have Armie Hammer, a once, I guess, adored actor, right?
Well, he was kind of on his way up. He hadn't really, made the big splash. He was, starting to work his way up into some movies that had some buzz and Oscar buzz even. And but he wasn't like a huge star, but he was starting to get recognized in the industry, I would say.
Handsome.
He was handsome.
Good-looking guy, right? Talented, I suppose. I don't know. I haven't really seen too many things that he was in. But he, oh my gosh, was sending these like very explicit, unnerving DMs to women and would get involved with these women in these very controlling and abusive relationships. A lot of scandal. I mean, it's just, and then it came out that he was like into cannibalism.
He
had these cannibalistic fantasies.
He had these very dark fantasies. We've talked about these types of things before. We actually, not too long ago, did a story about that woman who went to that man's trailer, and it was one of these very situations, wanted him to murder her,
Sharon Lopatka.
and eat her and all that. So, that dark fantasy world kind of scares me. It's really creepy because most fantasies are best left in fantasy world, and some of this darker stuff I think truly even more so. But in this day and age, everybody feels like they almost like they have a right to share it all and live out some of these fantasies sometimes, or even just talk about it. So I don't know. I don't have any scary dark shit like that. Do you?
Well, you don't because you shared it all with us.
That's not true. No, I mean, hey, and I'm not kink shaming, okay? But this guy, under the guise of kink, used that very thing to abuse women.
He did. Women who were not, and it's almost like he preyed on women who were not really familiar with the BDSM lifestyle.
Because.
That were very naive and
Yes.
susceptible to manipulation. And then he would come in and, do his thing, but it would turn out to be very abusive. Because the number one thing in the BDSM community and in those relationships is consent.
And trust.
Exactly.
And he did not, that was not a two-way street with him.
So he's a creep.
He was a creep, and he tricked.
And there are people who defend this guy.
Yeah, the Army Hammer people or whatever. We was trying to figure. I was like, who are these people that, like, no matter what it is,
will come to the aid of a celebrity,
Yeah.
even when they have disgusting allegations and proof, and they become really invested.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw a lot of that in the Johnny Depp trial.
Well, just will defend this person to no end online and just say the most horrible thing. And it's always women.
That are targeted?
They're targeted the worst and the most. It's always so violent, the way women are targeted in these situations. We're going to come get you. Or we're going to come rape you. I mean, it's just the darkest shit, meanest shit. And I just don't get it. For one, I don't care that much about any celebrity. And I'm just like, who's a huge Army Hammer fan? Like, this is your life? Like,
I know.
you couldn't go a little bit higher?
Wow, he really did it for me on Gossip Girl. I mean, there's like 3 episodes of a show I've like literally never seen.
Okay. But yeah, so it's a great doc. It is fairly enthralling, and I think everybody should check it out if you can. Discovery Plus.
Yeah, Dylan, we've been toying with the idea. I feel like we need to start having sort of like true crime watch parties.
We should.
We need to figure out how to do that.
If we coordinate it, because you know how bad we are with the life and everything.
We do need to coordinate it, but I also need to figure out like what would be the best avenue to engage our listeners in some kind of watch party.
Dude, it could be a YouTube live or something.
Yeah.
We have to look into that. That would be so much fun.
I feel like it would be, because I think the revelations in this documentary and our reactions, I would just like to see how other people are reacting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it was something else. Okay, Dylan, are you ready? We have been in in Georgia for the month of September, and our story takes place in Atlanta.
Yes.
You're from the ATL.
I love Atlanta.
He was born there.
It's cool. It's good people down there.
You love ATL?
Yeah.
Where the play is play?
Well, that is where the play is play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love some Outcast.
Oh, man, don't get me started on aliens.
I know.
See, that's what I'm talking
Great.
about.
With some fish and grits and all that pimp shit.
Yes. Now I want fish and grits. Just move on with the story.
Okay,
My
well,
God,
let's
I'm
get
going through a
started
bevy of emotions
with
over
our
here.
case. Are you ready to get into today's?
I haven't said it in a while, and I'm going to put it out there. Just go ahead and drag it across my face.
I was waiting for that.
Yes.
I knew it could not officially be retired.
Oh, that's a T-shirt right there.
Okay, so on May 30, I'm sorry, can I start? On May 31st of 2016, around 6:50 a.m., a 911 call was placed regarding a nude body in an Atlanta park near some basketball courts. Dogs were circling the victim. What investigators found was a nude female riddled with bullets in the back, buttocks, and legs. These wounds seemed to indicate the victim had tried to run away from her killer.
So it's basically shot in the back of her body.
Yes. The murder would be noted as an overkill by investigators. Not only had this woman tried escaping, but afterwards the gunman stood over her body and continued firing.
And that is when you want to make damn sure someone's dead and there's no way they can survive it. Would you say that's what that is?
Yes. I mean, I would call this like an execution style
Yeah.
killing.
Yeah, when you
right?
stand over someone, like say you bring them down with a couple of shots of the legs and then you go stand over them, basically point blank range and, rattle off a few more rounds, definitely execution style in my book.
No clothes or purse were found, making it difficult for police to, one, identify this victim, but also track any leads. Like I said, Dylan, police had no leads, really, and no motive. The crime scene was scant. With few clues to go on, the first thing investigators needed to do was ID the victim. The woman had tattoos, appeared to be in her late teens or early 20s. She was 5'6" and weighed about 170 pounds. There was not a lot of blood at the crime scene, which led investigators to question whether she was killed elsewhere and dropped off at the Oakland City Park. It didn't seem there was much of a struggle. She had fake nails on and they weren't broken, which I guess is something that investigators, check for defensive wounds. Oftentimes with those acrylic nails, if they're broken, then that maybe indicates a struggle.
Well, yeah, because if there's any kind of a struggle at all, you're going to lose one of those nails. You would think most of the time.
Gosh, and it hurts to lose one of those nails.
You can't even get out of the car and walk into the house without one of your nails breaking when you have your nails did.
Well, it depends on the nail tech. There's the one guy that does such a shitty job every time.
I remember one day you come home, man. You had your nails did. You was so cute. It was beautiful. Just a great color. You were just feeling good about yourself. And by the end of the day, you broke 4 nails.
Because there's this one guy and he's such a shitty nail tech.
He made some too thin.
And when I go to this particular spot where I've stopped going because one, I feel like they overcharge, and then two, they always stick me with this guy. I guess they think I'm his client and I don't want him. And he will make them so fucking thin. And I leave with my $80 nails and 3 hours later, 4 of them are broken off.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that was the day I got yellow nails and they were really cute. They were
Yes.
neon yellow.
And by the end of the evening, you were destroyed because your nails were just half of them broke off.
Yeah, I think that was the last time I got nails too, and I didn't go back to that guy, and I won't go back to him. I don't even know what his name is, but
So this is
stupid face.
this is a tricky scene for the investigators.
I mean, it really is.
You have a
Dylan.
public place, a very public place, a park, and you have a body they're suspecting has been dumped there, and it's not the actual crime
A
scene.
nude female.
Young.
Young.
So when you start looking for, clues and stuff, you're just going to come across so much random stuff that likely has absolutely nothing to do with your investigation. But you have no idea if that's the case. So you have to treat every single item found or, mark in the ground like it's potentially evidence. And so that's a hard place for investigators to be.
A fingerprint check finally revealed the victim's identity. 19-year-old Bridget Shiel. Bridget was born April 30th, 1997 in Norfolk, Virginia. She was raised by her grandparents, Jim and Beverly Toole, in the Washington, D.C. area. It is my understanding that her mother, Angela, had some drug problems. Bridget never knew her biological father. She grew up as a military brat, playing soccer and studying dance, specifically ballet. Bridget was described by those who knew her as a precocious kid, full of life, dramatic, and fun to be around. Her grandmother, Beverly, said, quote, "She was a live wire, full of energy, full of life, and so much fun to be around, and she was very dramatic." Bridget had a soft spot for animals. She rescued a dog that had been tied to a tree for some weeks and took it in. She found these 2 very undernourished kittens that had kind of made their way up to her grandma's patio, and she took those kittens in and nursed them back to health.
Oh, the little kitties.
So she had a big heart, but she was also very determined, almost to the point that she was hard-headed. Relatable.
It sounds like you.
Well, she's born in April. I'm guessing she's a Taurus. We very stubborn.
You're bullheaded.
We are.
Yes.
From an early age, if Bridget set her mind to something, she was going to accomplish it. Her mother, Angela, recalled that at age 2, Bridget wanted to take a swim in her grandmother's swimming pool, but she wasn't potty trained. Now, they explained to the young girl that, she couldn't get into the pool unless she learned how to go to the potty like a big girl first. And they said by the end of the day, Bridget had taught herself to use the potty.
Oh, wow. She wasn't playing around.
She was a very headstrong little girl.
She's like, see, I made pee-pee in the potty. I'm going for a dip right quick.
Yes.
Okay.
She was going to get into that swimming pool. I mean, she was like damned and determined, and I love that about her. But as she got older, the vivacious young woman seemed to get sadder. Her grandmother said she battled with mild depression. She struggled with her weight, and Bridget had low self-esteem and was often bullied by her classmates. Her freshman year at Eastern High School was spent on the honor roll, but by her sophomore year, Bridget's life changed drastically. Like a lot of young people looking for acceptance, Bridget fell victim to peer pressure and began running with a new group of friends. The smart girl began skipping school, making poor grades, and hanging out with kind of a bad crowd, her grandmother said. They were kids who just seemed to not be going anywhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this bad crowd, because you always want the best for your child or your grandchild or your family member, whoever it may be. And when you see that they start surrounding themselves with these people that are going nowhere fast, have no goals, and they're bullshitting, whatever, smoking the weed and the drinkings and all that stuff, all of a sudden don't care about school, it's just very worrisome. Because you really do, you reflect the people around you. If you're acting that way, and these are people that, you don't have a good friend saying, "Hey, wait a minute, what are you doing? Why are you letting your grades fall off? You've always done a good job." You're not getting any kind of positive support from this group of friends.
Well, and as adults, we can see that path and how it's definitely a hard road to take. If you drop out of high school, if you're not doing the work, it's going to set you up for a more difficult path in life.
Well, yeah, you're just going to end up you can't hold a job down. You can't, you're not.
Or you can, but you're working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet,
right,
because you're in like a low paid position. You're considered an unskilled laborer or whatever. And then you find yourself in a really low paid job and you have to work multiple jobs. I mean, it's just so tough. And I think most of us don't want that for our kids, but we've all been there. We've all been young people. And when your parents are telling you should be hanging out with this group of kids, they're your friends. You don't want to hear that.
No.
Right?
No, you definitely don't want to hear that. And you're and especially with her stubbornness, she's probably not going to take good to, she's not really going to listen. She's going to do what she wants.
If this was the first time that she was really feeling kind of accepted by her peers or by this group of people, that's, probably another factor.
And sometimes, that can be, maybe the group of kids that aren't that bad, they just have a look or something that turns the parents off, or they act a certain way, but they're really not bad people. And sometimes that's the case, but sometimes they are a group of people that can really drag someone down.
Because of all of these things that were kind of going on in the DC area, Bridget decided that she was going to move to Atlanta. That's where her biological mom, Angela, was living. Her grandmother, Beverly, thought this was a wonderful decision, hoping that Bridget would, one, reconnect with her biological mom and also get a fresh start. Plus, it was going to get her away from these kids that she just kind of felt like were dragging her granddaughter down. In an interview, a crime analyst who worked the case, Vince Hill, said that Atlanta is a new Hollywood of the South. It's the new Motown, noting the number of rap studios and the bustling music scene happening in the southern city.
Well, that is home of the Trap Museum.
Bridget seemed to view Atlanta as a big step forward and a step towards better things. Life in Atlanta was everything Bridget had hoped for in the beginning. She attended North Springs Charter School of the Arts and Sciences, graduating in 2015. It seemed the awkward teenager finally embraced her natural good looks, her curves, and her sex appeal. She cut her hair into a short, edgy style, dyeing it platinum blonde. I saw some folks online comparing her to a celebrity, Amber Rose. I think she dated Kanye and some other rappers. She's very pretty.
Oh yeah, we were familiar with this case quite some time ago, and I thought she was very cute. I
She's
thought she was a very attractive young lady.
Yeah, I think she's beautiful.
Yeah, she has a beautiful face. Her skin.
She's beautiful.
Oh wow, she's very attractive.
Damn, Dylan, we get it. For the stylish young woman, cosmetology school seemed a natural next step, so she enrolled at Empire Beauty School in Atlanta. And as I mentioned, Bridget was gorgeous, and Dylan agrees, obviously. You can
Yeah, she's gorgeous in all the right ways.
Lift your-
Anyway, she was a victim. I should stop.
lift your jaw off the floor.
She was cute.
Yeah, she loved fashion, makeup. She was always stylishly dressed, and she was hardly ever seen without, her hair and nails done. Very much like a girly girl. However, Bridget and her mother Angela found themselves at odds. Their relationship was a constant battle. It was already strained, but it presented new problems when they were living under the same roof. The pair found themselves falling out over minor things like Bridget's curfew and chores. Bridget was not going to let this keep her down, though. Instead of enduring the continued fights with her mom, Bridget decided to strike out on her own. She would couch surf at friends' houses, lodge at motels when she had the cash, and stay wherever she could, even sleeping in her car at times. Being unhoused is a scary situation, the never knowing what's coming next, and it creates a lot of insecurity. So I can't imagine being a young person, 18, 19, and not really knowing where you're going to spend the night. Are you going to have a safe place to lay your head at night?
No.
Are you going to sleep in your car?
No, and a lot of people deal with that, or have dealt with that growing up, and that's a very scary feeling, I'm sure.
Bridget was also an aspiring model who appeared in a rap music video for hip-hop artist Chris Waddle. I think he's like from Ghana. So is he
Ghanesian?
Ghanaian?
I think he's Ghanesian.
That's not it.
Yeah.
No.
Ghanaian.
Okay. She was a member of Girly Girls of Atlanta Incorporated. Now, I'm not sure what services they provided exactly, if it was like a modeling agency or an escort service. What is known is that Bridget advertised her services as a sex worker on the website Backpage. I'm sure you're familiar with Backpage, Dylan.
Well, I think a lot of people are, or they've heard of it.
No, I'm sure you specifically are.
No, I mean, I don't know. What is that? Is that like an app or something? Or is that like a...
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Won't you tell me and the rest of the people that are not familiar with Backpage what Backpage is,
Don't
Heather?
be coy with me, Dylan. Backpage was a classified advertising website, a lot like Craigslist, founded in 2004. Backpage was seized and shut down by federal authorities, and trafficking charges were filed against the company and its leadership. See, Craigslist closed its adult services section back in 2010, but Backpage forged on, not censoring the adult ads. That is until the arrests in 2018, when the leadership was charged with facilitating prostitution under the U.S. Travel Act, as well as money laundering and conspiracy. So far, only one person has pled guilty and accepted a deal. In 2021, the judge overseeing the case dismissed it, saying the prosecution and their witnesses made excessive references to child sex trafficking, which none of the defendants had actually been charged with. And the case has not... well, I guess it's been rescheduled for this year, but as far as I can tell, it's not been tried. So I don't know any more about it. But that's some of the Backpage history. So basically, Backpage was allowing these sex ads to appear, and they were unregulated. And a lot of the persons featured in the ads, it's come to light, were minors, were being trafficked. We're trafficking victims.
Yeah, well, yes, always. That's always a dark underbelly of the sex work industry. I think people being abused and exploited.
Now, with Backpage, Bridget would have been making out calls either to a client's home or to like a motel room. But as we know, sex work is incredibly dangerous. Sex workers, especially those who are working illegally, put their lives at risk by accepting business from strangers. Some argue that the internet allows sex workers to vet clients a bit more, but others argue it still places the workers in high-risk situations. And I think a good example of this is a case we've covered some time ago, Dylan, the Long Island serial killer, who's a murderer, a serial killer that seemed to prey on internet-based sex workers because most of his victims were using web pages like Craigslist.
Yeah, the only safe way to do that is to not do it at all. I mean, let's be honest.
The only safe way to do it is an illegal brothel.
Well, I mean,
it's regulated.
It's never going to be safe if you're working, doing out calls or working a strip somewhere and going with strangers in their cars. That's never going to be completely safe because we've known cases where it seems that the killer was friendly and befriended these women and used their services for months and then would pick his victim.
Joel Rifkin.
So, I mean, you can think he's a great guy.
He would patronize a victim for some years and they would have a friendship.
And one time
he would just snap and kill the worker.
So, I mean, you just never know. And there's no 100% safety in that type of scenario. And that's one reason I'm an advocate for legalization nationwide. And bringing it all out from the shadows, and you get rid of the most of the exploitation, the trafficking, the heavy drug use and abuse, the physical abuse. I mean, financial abuse, the violence associated with pimps. I mean, you get rid of an entire segment of criminal activity in our American society.
Public health issues.
You could do prostitution, and you could do drugs. And you could lean or put all your resources into treatment and opportunities and upward mobility for all these people involved, and we would get a lot further than we are with our current system. In my book.
Oh man, people can't hear that.
And I would like to go to the drugstore, and get stuff.
Like a blowjob or
no? Oh, why are you combining the business? These are two separate worlds. Okay, we're going to legalize drugs and prostitution. You're not going to have one emporium where you can get a sex worker and good cocaine.
Maybe I'm going to have that. Maybe that's my business model.
Come on down to Heather's Crazy Emporium of everything.
Heather's house of drugs and sex and some rock and roll because we got a house band.
A nice local house band playing shitty covers.
Yeah, it's like a Loverboy cover band.
Yes.
Because that would be like the music I would want played. Nobody else would like it but me. I'd be like, hot girls in love.
Okay, I'm seeing the potential of this business model.
Yeah, I know, right? So that's why you patrons, you folks need to join Patreon so I can save up and start my business. Ads posted under the name Nastia and Spice.
Nastia?
Nastia.
Or is it Nastia?
No, it's Nastia.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, that's an interesting name. I mean, I'm not...
Look, it's Bridget's back page name.
And she gets to pick whatever she wants.
It's Nastia and Spice. It read, quote, I make every encounter special and I aim to please in the most desirable ways. Yet later, Bridget's grandma Beverly will state she doesn't believe her granddaughter was doing it of her own free will. Beverly was certain that Bridget's boyfriend, Kevin Kinney, was responsible for getting Bridget into sex work, which is something that he denies. We'll get to Kevin here in a bit. Bridget had also found herself in an abusive relationship. On February 13th of 2016, she had called police when her partner Kenny had hit her in the mouth. On the call, she said, quote, I don't want you guys to go to the house because he said if I call the police, he'll kill me. Now, her boyfriend was older and had spent some time in and out of jail. Some of Bridget's friends claimed he was a member of an underground crime syndicate, like a gang, called the Gangster Disciples.
Oh, they're underground?
Well...
It's like where their clubhouse is like in a big drain somewhere, like a big underneath the road.
Well, that'd be like the coolest spot for it to be, right?
That's a lair.
If you're going to be in a gang... If you're going to be in a club, Dylan, don't you want it to be like super secret?
Yeah, I think it really adds to the
like
experience.
There needs to be a bouncer or someone who's like, you have to have a password to get in.
Yeah, the password's hippopotamus.
And especially if it's like a wizard who's like, thou shalt not pass unless you have the password.
You're going to get Gandalf to work the door at your damn gang's lair?
No, I would just get my daughter got a wizard costume
Okay.
last week for her birthday, so I'll just have her do it.
I have a video my daughter sent me of me dressed up like a wizard, and she's saying for me to do the wizard thing, and I do it. And I'll have to show it to you. I don't know where this video came from.
Never shown me this.
She just dug it up out of like Snapchat memories or something. It's hilarious.
Dang, Dylan.
But anywho, so she has a boyfriend. It sounds to me like her friends and family are not going to like this guy.
Yeah,
They don't
seems like
care for
They
him.
don't really like him too much. Now, in the February incident, Bridget ultimately declined to press charges against Kenny, but her 911 call paints a tragic but familiar tale of a young woman who was a victim of domestic violence. Bridget was incredibly close with her grandmother, as I've mentioned. Police would later find that she had given Bridget money on the day before her murder so that the young woman could rent a motel room. According to Beverly, Bridget didn't want to stay with Kevin and thought it was best to get a motel room. Her grandmother agreed and had willingly given her some cash so she could get a place to stay for the night. Bridget had found herself in an awkward situation, staying with her boyfriend Kevin Kinney and another young woman named Brittany Aloka, who happened to be the mother of his child.
Oh, it's like his ex baby mama.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. See, that's where it's like a fuzzy line, Dylan. I'm not sure that was his ex.
Oh, see, now it goes.
They find themselves in a bit of a throuple here. So the three are living under one roof, and there's no way that anyone could live with their partner and his or her ex under the same roof and not have some friction, right? Especially when there isn't necessarily a line drawn of, we're not together, I'm with this person.
Well, see, this is what happens when you was talking about the insecurity of a young person couch surfing, not knowing where they're going to lay their head and kind of ending up in these situations, and this is what happens. They end up in a weird, strained relationship or situation because they maybe feel like they don't have anywhere else to go. And that's one thing I don't ever want my kids to feel like, I might not be able to magically make all the problems in their life go away, but I always want them to know you can come to wherever I'm at and you'll be safe.
Well, we kind of know a young person who seems to be in a bit of this situation and bounces around and, maybe ends up with an unsavory partner.
Yeah.
And, it's just not a good situation to be in.
It's not.
Especially when you just feel like you don't have other options. Now, according to Kevin Kinney, he moved Bridget into his home with a mutual understanding that they both cared for each other, and he'd been honest with Brittany about it. The new relationship caused a lot of problems, drama, and eventually the two women got into a physical altercation. During the fight, police were called, and both women spent the night in jail. Now, this was 2 days before Bridget called 911 regarding Kevin's assault. So just 2 days before she called saying he had hit her, she and this other woman had gone to jail for the night because they had gotten into a fist fight.
So it's just some old BS going on there, it sounds like. Some, people carrying on.
Investigators knew that Bridget owned a 2009 red Ford Fusion. Locating the car was top priority, but soon after discovering her body, they were able to locate her car, and it was parked behind King Southern Delight, a restaurant in DeKalb County. Am I saying that right?
DeKalb?
Is it DeKalb?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure the
or
locals.
Is it DeKalb? DeKalb? I feel like I've heard people call it DeKalb. I don't know if that's right. So a week later, Atlanta police, who had been feverishly working the case, announced they were looking for 2 male suspects who were last seen with Bridget Shiel. Witnesses had spotted her with 2 men at a convenience store sitting in the passenger side of the car, the Ford Fusion. She appeared nervous and like maybe she was there against her will, yet nothing turned up. A friend told police that Bridget had confided that she was pregnant just weeks before her death. Bridget seemed really scared and claimed she didn't even want to tell Kevin that she was pregnant, yet an autopsy showed she was not pregnant. Atlanta PD, of course, traced Bridget's steps the night she was killed. On the evening Bridget was killed, the young woman who actively used social media had posted pictures on Snapchat. The images were of her dancing, having fun, and getting ready to go out. I think she was supposed to go to a party with a friend.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Around 10:30 p.m., a Snapchat was taken near where her body would later be found. She sent a Snapchat saying, quote, "Too pretty to walk in the grass." A few minutes later, she called a friend. The friend said Bridget seemed fine on the call and that nothing was amiss. But sometime after that, Bridget's night seemed to go terribly wrong. Witnesses told law enforcement they had seen Bridget appearing to be escorted by people through the park. It was around 11:30 p.m. that Bridget was spotted at that gas station in Stone Mountain, Georgia, with the 2 black male suspects. Police felt those 2 males were the last persons to see Bridget alive. 2 hours later, around 1:30 a.m., a man called 911 to report hearing multiple gunshots at the park. Police arrived at the park and began searching the area, but they didn't find anything until they got another call early in the morning hours that there had been a body found.
Oh, wow. I thought they would find her then when they...
No.
Wow, and that's unfortunate because they they very well could have maybe caught
Yeah, they didn't
somebody
find her
up in
body
there.
till about 6:50 a.m.
Yeah.
So when they made this initial search of, someone reported gunshots, they didn't find anything. The car was found about 2 miles from where she had been last seen at that gas station. But that was about 20 miles from where she was actually killed and disposed of. So it's like they took her to this gas station, took her to the park, shot her, but then went back to near the gas station and dumped the car.
Well, I'm going to guess possibly they the 2 male suspects ended up in her car with
Yes.
her. And then, whatever happened there, be it at the park or near the park. And then they threw her out like a piece of trash because they're horrible monsters. And then they drove her car back to their car or near their car and just left it and drove away. That's what I'm going to guess maybe happened there.
Kevin Kinney and his other girlfriend, Brittany, were interviewed by police, but never named suspects publicly in Bridget's case. But Kevin sat down with Crime Watch Daily for an interview about Bridget. He said, quote, "Bridget really meant a lot to me." He went on to say her death was tearing him apart, and he didn't actually know what to say when asked for an interview by the crime show. Kinney did state that he was the number 1 suspect and that a lot of people thought he had involvement in Bridget's death. But he denied having gotten physical with Bridget, stating that he had been unaware she'd even made a phone call back in February accusing him of assault. Kinney said he never put his hands on Bridget, and during the interview, he feigned surprised at the report there was a 911 call made. Like he was asking in the interview, can I see the police report? Like, did she really call and say I did this to her?
So do you believe this guy?
I don't know.
Maybe they had a not the greatest relationship, but that doesn't necessarily mean he murdered her, right? I mean, given her line of work, it very easily could have been someone else, right?
Kevin Kinney also denied roping Bridget into sex work. He said one of the main reasons for moving Bridget into his home was to get her off the streets. He said it bothered him that she had been posting sex for sale ads on Backpage. Kinney said Bridget had posted the Backpage ads before meeting him, and he hadn't approved of the way she was making money. So he had hoped, like, if he moved her in, even though it was an awkward situation, that it would keep her from posting those ads.
And who's to know? This guy could be pouring it on thick for, the fact that this girl connected to him was found dead, or he could be genuinely...
I'm not defending him. I'm just...
No, I'm not saying you were.
I'm just telling you what he said.
I'm not saying you were. I was not
Well, I mean, who's
insinuating
to
that.
know? It seems to be one of those kind of he said, she said. And we don't have Bridget here to
No.
defend her side of the story. So we don't really know what was going on. But what we can gather from all of this is that it was a dysfunctional relationship. And that the home, the living situation with the 3 people under the same roof, what was dysfunctional and not working out.
Yeah, it's true.
According to Kevin Kinney, the love triangle proved to be too much, and he asked Bridget to go. Ultimately, he decided he needed to keep his family together and work things out with his child's mother. Kinney did believe that Bridget was pregnant, though, saying she had sent a text message announcing that she was pregnant. Rumors spread that Bridget had terminated the pregnancy, but Kevin says he and Bridget parted ways about 30 days before she was killed, and that he hadn't seen her in almost a month. Kenny also denied any association with the street gang Gangster Disciples, the underground crime syndicate, saying the only thing he knew about gangs was what he'd learned from the History Channel.
Ah, that's all he knows, huh?
But that's all I really know about gangs, too.
Well, that's everything I know about gangs and the movie Colors.
Yeah, or the Warriors.
The Warriors. Ah, I'm like, come on. Warriors was more like a West Side Story or something. It didn't feel like gangs.
Okay, well, the Sharks and the Gents, they meant business.
I don't think people would go out of their way to do those types of things. I never understood the animosity from that one group, a gang there that wanted to, see the Warriors fall so bad.
I just know they all had really amazing outfits. Yeah. I love that all of the gangs had their own unique style.
Yeah.
Okay. According to the show First 48, a friend had stated that she and Bridget were going to a party together on the night of the woman's murder. Yet the friend was supposed to meet Bridget outside, but she wasn't there. When the friend called Bridget, Bridget told her that she was going to the store and she'd be right back.
Yeah, see, that's what's weird.
So they're supposed to meet up.
Yeah, according to her friend, that always struck me as odd. She just run into the store right quick, and then I'll meet up with you. So it doesn't sound like she had plans to go on any dates or anything, and she wanted to go have fun with her friend, So it makes me wonder, did someone like flash a bunch of money? Because that's a technique that some people use, flash just a huge amount of money in front of a woman's sex worker's eyes.
Is that what they do?
Well, yeah, we've heard that in stories before. They were reluctant to go with this person for whatever reason, and then they're just like, I'll give you $500, and that's tempting.
I'm pretty sure that's what Patrick Bateman did in American Psycho.
If you're living and maybe hand to mouth or whatever you want to call it, a large chunk of money like that might tempt you to, hey, I could do this right quick before I go meet my friend. Or did she just, stumble upon two random pieces of shit that, at the store or something, who just made her leave with them? Who knows?
Well, months passed with few leads. Police were able to uncover a surveillance video of Bridget going into a gas station near Rockbridge Road and Memorial Drive, where she purchased a Sprite. Some distance away from where Bridget's car was located, near a fence, they find her dress. There's also a Sprite bottle, which is collected and bagged. DNA evidence was collected from Shield's body as well, but I don't know specifically what kind of DNA evidence. In October of 2016, nearly 4 months after Bridget's murder, Sylvia Watson is returning home to the apartment she shares with her fiancé, 54-year-old Samuel White, on Tree Mountain Parkway in Stone Mountain, Georgia, when they are approached by Christopher Spencer and another man, Vernon Vito Corleone Beeman.
Okay.
The men, both members of the Rollin' 20s street gang, ordered Watson to drive to multiple ATMs and withdraw money. Once returning to Watson's apartment, Spencer and Beeman forced the couple to the floor face down, bound their hands and feet with ropes and cord, and shoot them each once in the back of the head. On November 2nd of 2016, Spencer, who also went by a nickname, Crisco.
Because he's greasy.
Yeah, he's a slime ball.
Wait a second. Who are these people?
I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay. This is okay. You're throwing me for a loop. It's not hard.
I'm getting to it, Dylan. Just follow along.
So greasy.
We got greasy spoon here and his buddy Vito Corleone.
What is he? The consigliere? How do you say that? Of the family?
The consigliere.
Yeah, that.
The Robert Duvall.
Yeah, he could never be more than that because he's not Italian. He's not Sicilian.
He's Irish. Okay, so back to my story. So these two assholes are arrested and charged with the murder of the Stone Mountain couple. After being convicted in the deaths, Spencer is processed into Macon State Prison, where his DNA is submitted to a database. That DNA is then matched to DNA found on Bridget Shiel.
No way.
It's also matched to the Sprite bottle recovered near Shiel's abandoned vehicle.
No way.
Yeah,
I'm
what?
sorry. I thought this was I thought this that I remembered was, they didn't know. They didn't have any suspects. So this is awesome.
Well, will you just let me finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay. So authorities secure an arrest warrant for Spencer and Shiel's death on May 30th. It took so long to connect Spencer to Bridget's murder because there had been nothing to link him until he submitted that DNA once he was booked into state prison. It's not known why Bridget Shiel was killed. It seems like there was no motive at all.
Well, these guys, it could be anything: robbery, rape, just for kicks. I mean, they sound like some cold-blooded individuals.
Christopher Spencer has not confessed to the murder and denied ever seeing Bridget Shiel. That he didn't know her, he wasn't there, he had nothing to do with this.
Right. His DNA just happens to be on a Sprite bottle, and the Sprite bottle she was seen, possibly the Sprite bottle she was seen buying at the store on film.
While Christopher Spencer is believed to be part of the Rolling 20s gang, the murder of Shiel is not believed to be gang-related. In March of 2018, Spencer was indicted with 8 other alleged gang members for the murder of 2 Jonesboro youths in 2016. This guy, he is a piece of shit.
These young people that would just so carelessly and quickly shoot and kill, and they think that's what it is to be a man or be tough, and it's just I don't know, it's scary how cold some of these young people can be. I mean, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, this is pretty fucked up, Dylan. Tatiana and Devin Coates, ages 11 and 15, were shot and killed in 2016 when they found themselves in the middle of a gang-related shooting. A key break in the investigation came days later and about 130 miles north in Tennessee. There was some gang activity that occurred in Chattanooga when this drive-by shooting took place. During that drive-by shooting, a weapon was dropped at the scene, and that weapon was linked to the homicide of these 2 kids. A grand jury indicted 11 people on 54 different charges. Those included Vernon Beenan, Vito, Sterling Pate, Melvin Crockett, Devin Dunson, Christopher Crisco Spencer, Jamon Bynum, Sherman Thomas, and Jamar Mitchell. The suspects were all charged with murder, cruelty to children, and gang activity. Clayton County officials said the children had no way of knowing about the violence coming their way. Several gang members were looking for a 15-year-old boy who they believe stole guns from the gang, and these kids just happened to kind of get caught up in this. In 2016, police said intruders tried to force their way inside the home overnight, while Tatiana, Devin, and several other children, ages 6 to 13, were inside sleeping. At some point, the suspects began shooting, but were able to escape. One of the children was able to make a call to police. In a recorded interview, a member of the Crips said White was one of the shooters responsible for the deaths. Another member of the Crips, in a separate interview, said White and other gang members went to the scene of the crime to physically harm the people inside the home. Months after the shooting, White started as a paraprofessional with DeKalb County Schools. He became a 5th grade teacher in August of 2017.
Okay.
DeKalb school officials said White passed 2 background checks with no signs of criminal history. And people were in disbelief when they learned of White's day job. They said, quote, "We were absolutely flabbergasted, I'll be honest with you," law enforcement said. To come in to the realization that we had a 5th grade teacher in a public school teaching children that would be part of this, it took our breath away.
Yeah, that's very odd.
The district confirmed that White was removed from his position immediately. Christopher Spencer is currently serving life without parole in Macon State Prison. Bridget's mother, Angela Shiel, has stated she would like him to receive the death penalty. Spencer tried to appeal his sentence, but it was upheld by Georgia's highest court. Today, I can't find any information about him being tried for Bridget's murder. Angela Shiel has said she and her daughter were not on speaking terms at the time of Bridget's death. And she said, quote, "I'll regret that the most, that my last words weren't, 'I love you.'"
And you just never know. It's like you were trying to tell your daughter the other day. You just never know if you'll have that tomorrow to say something that you might want to say to someone, and you have to remember that.
It's true.
And that's why I try not to leave, especially with my wife. I don't want to go to work or anything, and we've had cross words, which we seldom do. That's why I love you so much. And as I always want to leave on a kiss and I love you, something positive, because I don't want fuck you to be the last words we ever spoke to each other, right?
Fuck you, like CeeLo Green. No. So
No,
basically, I mean, this
that
poor
wasn't like CeeLo Green.
woman was murdered, discarded in a park, and for no reason. I mean, it's just a completely senseless, violent, random act.
Senseless violence. There's no, we don't know the reason, but there is no good reason, right? There's not going to be a proper reason for this to have happened. But do you feel, even though it's not officially went through the courts, and as far as the family's concerned, that possibly her killers are in jail anyway?
Well, I do believe one of them is
definitely in jail.
In jail, and I mean, I guess I can't speak for her family, but at least some justice is being served because he has life in prison without parole.
And that was because they were all menacing someone else.
I would just be glad that this guy, because he's a fucking menace to society. He is a menace. That is the only way to describe this guy. A fucking piece of shit who was responsible for the deaths of 5 people.
Kids.
So he's a fucking mass murderer.
Yeah.
He deserves to be in fucking prison.
Honestly.
He deserves to never see the light of day.
Honestly, with this gang shit, and I know it's got all these societal, ills and discussions about why and when and shit like that. But it should be, I think it should be, categorized as terrorism.
Well, at the end of the day, you're harming your own community and your own people.
You're
because
terrorizing.
Typically, these gang-related activities happen in neighborhoods where the gang members live. They're terrorizing normal people, not just civilian people, like these innocent kids, 11 and 15,
right,
get caught up in some bullshit that they had no part of, all because these gang members want to take their shit out on everybody else.
Act tough.
So all you're doing is wrecking your own community.
Yeah. And I think it's
creating devastation within your own communities.
And you're responsible for that. You and your friends are responsible for that.
I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, you can't blame that on racism. You can't blame that on poverty.
You're
actively choosing to become part of something that you know is deadly. It's violent. That gangsta lifestyle, as we know, it's a fucking dead end.
They admit there's 2 ways out: jail or prison. I mean, prison or death.
Yeah.
And they admit this to themselves. And yes, I'm sorry. In this day and age, with our access to information, we're hip to all the games that the system and everything puts on all of us. If you're still like, I can't do anything about this cycle, it's just, that's bullshit. You can. And all your surrounding neighbors and stuff can too, by dialing your ass out to police when you fuck up. Okay? You got to speak up and you got to speak out.
Hey, the military's always accepting a few good men.
Yeah.
Right? You have no way out. Go fucking raise your right hand and sign your name on a dotted line if you're not a coward. Right?
It's true.
I mean, there are ways to rise above this shit. And this gang violence, this unnecessary violence, you're right, Dylan, it should be considered domestic terrorism.
It should be. Because, I mean, just look what this does to communities, particularly the black and brown community. Just generation after generation of their young people killing each other. And like we always point out, you lose 2 families lose every time. You have the person killed and the person who killed them because they go to jail for 25 years to life. And then you end
up in a cycle with gangs of where there's retaliation.
Yes,
you lose more people.
It's never ending.
It's exactly, right? And this guy, I mean,
So
is a fucking piece of shit. So I'm glad he's behind bars.
yeah,
But it's just such a sad end for 5 people, and especially this young woman who had a promising future. She was bright, she was beautiful, she had goals, she had dreams. She was trying the best she could to achieve those. And just taken out, and not that there's a good reason for murder, but there's not even a motive. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
just random.
it's just random, senseless violence. It sounds like, and that seems to be the worst kind. Honestly, poor Bridget.
Yes, but we had learned of this case a while back, and I thought we should discuss it since there has been a conclusion to Bridget's case.
And that's what we did not have then, and at least we know a little bit more now. And I want to thank you, Heather, for that story out of Georgia. We've enjoyed our time down here in Georgia.
You just gonna keep saying it like that?
Yeah, well, maybe not. But and we have what we get to be there.
Whatever. You're in Appalachia, so you say Georgie.
Georgia.
You know, down there in Georgia, my dad goes deer hunting down there in Georgia.
We'll have another week in beautiful state of Georgia, right?
Oh, we got a couple more weeks.
Another week or two, so I can't wait to see what you bring up next.
Dude, the next case I have for you is mind-blowing.
Really?
And it's gonna fucking piss you off.
Oh my God, I'm already mad.
You're gonna be like red-faced. Your blood's gonna boil with next week's case.
Oh my God,
because it is some bullshit, Dylan.
They hurting little kids and stuff.
It is a very interesting case. There's not been much coverage on it, so I am looking forward to bringing this case some attention. But I'm telling you right now, be prepared. You're gonna be pissed off because it pissed me off when I learned of this case. I was mad.
Piss you off.
I was big mad.
Almost as much as dumb comments online. Like, what'd you get the other day? Well, you know, this other podcast already covered this case.
So I never read YouTube comments because they are so fucking dumb. But I pulled up YouTube because I was looking for something, and it just happened to pop up the comments. And someone had commented on our William Bradford Bishop Jr. case, like, my favorite podcast, named the podcast, already covered this case before.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, good for them. I mean,
that happens a lot.
Okay,
bud.
sir. So should I send out a memo to all the other podcasters that we're not allowed to cover the same true crime cases? I mean, I don't know. And then I just said to you, are people really this dumb?
It's
I mean,
funny.
do you really not know that that's a thing, that like lots of podcasts cover multiple, the same case?
Well,
but also, why would you even like comment? Who cares? I don't give a fuck if they covered it. I'm covering it too. I don't know. It's just funny because why are you dumb?
It's comical, especially comical because me and the listeners who've listened for a while know that you go out of your way to, typically find stuff. But sometimes we do something that's more popular or more well covered because we're interested in the case. And for someone to just be like, only once one podcast does it, like no one else should do it. I mean, it's just YouTube is a dumpster fire of humanity.
Gosh. No, the comments are just crazy.
The comments.
I mean, sometimes I'm like, are people really this dumb?
We do appreciate people who patronize the YouTube channel, though. And if you're
Unless you're leaving a dumb comment.
Well, you can even leave a dumb comment as long as you subscribe. Yeah, if they want.
Okay.
If they want, but I don't.
You can, but if I read it, I'm probably going to make fun of you.
Our listeners are better than this. Okay,
well,
that was not a mountain murderite. Okay, that's what we're calling.
No, apparently they like the other podcasts better. I'm like, well, then go listen to that fucking podcast. I even know that podcast.
But you can go to YouTube if it takes you just a second and subscribe to the Mountain Murderers on there. And even if you don't watch us there, and we're almost over the hill there on the monetary.
Or you know
hill.
what? Just go leave all the dumb comments because maybe that boosts the algorithm. Yeah. Like the more dumb comments we get, the better.
You can leave insightful, constructive comments if you like. But yeah, just pop by YouTube. Takes a second and give us a old subscribe there. We're almost over 1,000. They keep YouTube's screwing us. We need to get over 1,000. We're almost there, folks. Help me out. Anywho, you got anything else, Heather? My lovely lady.
With my humps, my lovely lady lumps. No, that's it, Dylan.
And again, thank you, Surly. I hope I'm saying that right. Surly Sriracha, today's sponsor of the show. And you can be a sponsor too. Just go on over to patreon.com/Mountain Murders Podcast and access tons of extra content and our Discord chat if you are so inclined.
We are also collecting stories for the month of October. We would like to compile a wonderful episode of Mountain Murder listener stories as we head into spooky season. It would be awesome if we could gather multiple listener story
please.
episodes, because we love those listener stories. I've gotten a few from folks.
Yeah, Allison said she was going to send you one.
More.
So
you can email those to us at mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com. You can send them over through Instagram and Twitter. If you remember, our Instagram is kind of fucked right now, so you have to go to our new Instagram, Appalachian True Crime. And that is how you can send those in.
please do, because it'd be so awesome if we could do a midweek and a Sunday show, both of them listener stories. That would be so much fun.
And Dylan, we have in the works potentially a very cool true crime project collaboration with some other podcasts. And we will be making the announcement soon about this.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Oh, we need to do that.
Oh, we're gonna. It's happening.
I want to do some cross promotion.
Everything has been submitted. I will just say that.
Ooh.
Okay?
That's what they call the ball is rolling.
The ball is rolling, Dylan.
It is.
So soon we'll be able to make our announcement. And I think our listeners will appreciate it.
Yes.
It's a little something they might like.
So we hope you stay safe and stay sane. And we'll see you back here again
Stay surly.
next week.
Like the sriracha.